Hey kid, you alright?
You opened your eyes slowly, hissing from the multiple burns and scratches that adorned your body. You couldn't exactly remember how you got them, but from the scene around you, you assumed it was semi-bad, at least. You peered up, golden eyes staring back down at you. Vermilion wings gently flapped back and forth, the hot air brushing past you and your supposed savior. You grinned, eyes suddenly sparkling with mischief. "I am now, seeing that you're here," you teased, recognizing the man as the number 2 hero, Hawks.
Whoa,
The hero visibly faltered at your comment, his grip shifting.
you're rather flirty for someone who is just in a hostage situation.
You could put me in a hostage situation any day. You kept your grin, enjoying the light blush that appeared on Hawks' face. Sadly, however, he didn't comment, only putting you down and flying off. That wouldn't stop your pursuit, however. You weren't sure why exactly you wanted to talk to him so badly. Was it romantic attraction, or did you just enjoy his reactions to your teasing? He probably got thousands of comments similar to yours every day, but still. This wasn't like any guy or girl you've teased before. This was different. But hey, maybe you were just thirsty. You peered up from your cutting board, in the middle of cutting carrots for a chicken and dumpling soup recipe you found online. Lucky for you, you had semi-control of your hands and didn't cut your finger off whenever a sound was emitted. How rare. You set the knife down, dusting off your hands and tapping on the notification. Some news warning of a villain nearby, apparently. It seemed pretty low scale, and you doubted anything would happen. So naturally, you set your phone down. Of course, despite your judgment, something did happen. Was it massive? No. Did it hurt you? Of course not. Did you still scream as you watched the number 2 hero crash into the railing of your balcony? Perhaps. Jesus fucking... You ran over and slid the glass door open, eyes wide with worry and fear. I thought they said it was low scale. Hawks didn't respond to your comments, probably because he had hit his head so hard on the iron railing that he was knocked out. You inhaled, unsure of whether bringing him inside would be tasteful kidnapping, helping a hero out, or something more sinister. Would you even be able to pick him up? So many questions. You sighed quietly, peering out to make sure nothing else would accidentally make its way onto your balcony. The fight was nearer than you expected, but it seemed to be a bit more under control than a few moments prior. No more semi-hot men crashing themselves onto iron railings. How lovely. You faltered, turning your attention to Hawks once more. Small droplets of blood had begun to drip down his head and onto his neck, though no other wounds could be spotted. He probably had just been caught off guard, got smacked by something. Sighing once more, you walked over and wrapped your arms around his, beginning to drag him inside. Fun fact. Dragging a man who had twice the muscular build as you, plus wings that could cut you at any moment, was kinda hard. Only just a bit, though. As of the moment, the number 2 pro hero was lying on your couch as you retrieved your first aid kit from the bathroom. You wouldn't use your quirk in case the aura stayed for too long. Plus, you didn't want to risk any unneeded side effects. You were a secret. Alright, Birdman, let's get this over with. You exhaled, shifting the unconscious figure up so you could examine the head wound. It took a minute of ruffling through his surprisingly soft hair, but eventually you found the gash. It wasn't too deep, but you would make sure he got professional help when he woke up.
The damage is done. Leave me alone.
Do you really think I want to leave?
You keep running away, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Let me ask one more question before I do.
Go right ahead.
Do you want to see me again? Exhaling, you grabbed the small wrap of gauze from the small red bag, beginning to wrap it around his head carefully. You would just need to stop the bleeding, make sure he wasn't in shock, the usual. "Thank you, Auntie, for teaching me how to not die," you mumbled under your breath, keeping your eyes focused on the task at hand. You yelped as a vermilion wing shot itself out from under the blonde, hitting you smack dab in the middle of your face. Revenge for flustering him all those weeks ago, you supposed. Or you somehow messed up on his head, and he would die in the next 17.5 minutes. Either way, you fell back. "Damn!" you hissed, rubbing the bridge of your nose. No matter how fluffy they appeared, Hawks' wings hurt. Not enough for a cut, but there would probably be a bruise for a couple days. You sat up quickly, watching curiously as the hero's wings shifted and fluttered as he moved. They were pretty, even if they hurt like a bitch. Of course, because you were so fixated on the not-so-fluffy attachments on the man's back, you didn't notice the hero waking up. He sat up quickly, breath fast and heavy. Sweat dripped down his forehead, and his hands were shaking. You looked at him in concern, unsure if this was a symptom of shock or not. "Morning, birdie." You tilted your head, squinting at the now messed up bandaging around his head. Hawks turned around, 2 of his feathers suddenly at your neck. "Whoa there! I said put me in a hostage situation, but that didn't mean knife play. Not much of a masochist myself." You glanced at the feather knives at your throat, keeping the nervousness that invaded your body out of your voice.
"Who are—"
He paused, blinking a few times as he processed your remarks. His golden eyes widened a bit, pointing at you.
"You're one of the captives from the hostage situation a few weeks ago."
He visibly relaxed, the feathers retracting.
"You're quite the thirsty one, aren't you?"
"I would say I'm more hungry, seeing as you're a whole bucket of pure hot wing." You leaned back, the nervousness from a few moments prior suddenly dissipating.
"Well, unknown stranger who thirsts over me, mind telling me why I'm here?"
Hawks' eyes turned sharp, though he had an aloof smirk on his face. It made sense. Seeing as being calm seemed to get more answers, but you couldn't help but think what else he was hiding under the facade. He looked so scared. "You crashed into the railing on my balcony, so I brought you inside and attempted to bandage you up. Would see a professional about it, though." You looked away, rubbing your eye. You felt antsy, but didn't exactly know why.
"What about—"
The hero was cut off, the sound of your phone dinging alerting the both of you. A few moments later, there was a goose honk from somewhere on the blonde's body. You blinked a few times, trying to fight down the smile that threatened to dance on your lips. "Your ringtone is a goose honk? When your hero name is Hawks? What a disrespect to your kind." You snickered, grabbing your phone.
"Better than having a basic normie ringtone."
His tone had a playful edge to it, completely different from prior. It honestly threw you off, but you had to laugh. "Normie? Didn't think you were up to date on the new lingo, Birdman."
"High-key offended."
Hawks deadpanned to you, you only laughing more. You didn't know why it was so funny, but it was. Alright. Please stop, before my therapist hears about this.
"Not the therapist."
Anyways, you rolled your eyes and opened the notification, reading it over quickly. The villain is detained and is being taken away as of this very moment. You could go and get professional help and be smart, or... Hawks returned your gaze, a mischievous glint in his eyes.
"Or I could stay here and rest up with the thirsty Mockingbird who wants me to tie them up."
He ran a hand through his hair, leaning back.
"Tough decision, but due to me feeling like absolute shit,
You felt your heart double its beat.
I think I'll stay here for a bit."
Your mistake, really. You honestly couldn't comprehend the thought that the number 2 hero was currently in your kitchen, using his feathers to cook up a meal, or how he had so easily pinned you to your couch using only 4 feathers, insisting he needed to pay you back for saving him. Either way, You weren't exactly complaining. Why are you being so friendly anyways? You asked, shifting in your makeshift prison. I'm a random civilian who just happened to have been in a hostage situation. Yet, now, you're making me dinner. Have I charmed you already? There was a hum in your tone, eyes glimmering with mischief.
Just a random civilian, huh?
His words caused your eyes to widen a fraction, shifting yet again. You weren't some random civilian. Your quirk was seen as rare, a mutation of both your parents. It was called Endem, and classified as a healing emitter type. You were able to manipulate, control, and revive atoms in the human body while emitting an aura of pure endorphins at the cost of your energy. You were a vigilante of sorts. You worked with both the heroes and villains as a healer, having no true boss or leader. Shia Wasena was your codename, but everyone you worked with called you Shia, as they didn't know your true name nor real identity. You covered your face with a plague mask when doing hero work and a regular mask when not. Your figure was constantly covered by oversized sweaters, coats, and dresses, plus adorning gloves and a special pair of shoes that constantly changed its print. Plus, a hat or some type of helmet that constantly hid your hair to hide any extra evidence. Anything to keep people from finding out your true identity. You smiled, a nonchalant facade resting over your features. Sadly, yeah. Just a slightly horny, quirkless civilian. You faked a giggle, covering your mouth. He raised a brow, various feathers flying around him as they worked.
Quirkless, huh?
You're avoiding my question, chicken man. Your eyes narrowed, keeping a close eye on his posture, plus any signs of knowledge in his, stupidly, pretty golden eyes. Hawks laughed, leaning back on the counter.
I just find you interesting.
He looked you up and down, a smile adorning his lips. You blinked, raising a brow. Interesting, you say?
Yeah. Not every day a random civilian can carry a fully grown man onto their couch and not struggle.
Who said I didn't struggle? Hawks rolled his eyes, turning away from you to one of the pans on the stove and flipping its contents. You laughed, relaxing just a bit. Even if you were restrained, you felt strangely calm, and you knew it wasn't a quirk. A few minutes later, dinner was ready, and you were released from your makeshift prison. You sighed in relief, rubbing your wrist as you got up. Hawks was setting the table while you went to wash your hands.
I hope you like breakfast for dinner.
You could feel his watchful gaze on you as you dried off, peering back at him and raising a brow. No chicken? How surprising.
I'm a bastard, not a cannibal.
Yet your heart still goes pitter-patter. You grinned, walking over and poking his chest before sliding into a chair. He stared at you, mouth slightly open.
Did you just quote Kesha?
You stared right back, keeping your slight embarrassment under control as you willed your voice into a monotone state, and your face to deadpan. No, I just want your liver on a platter. The sound of his laugh was like music to your ears, his eyes crinkling and his smile soft. Wait, why were you noticing these things? It wasn't like he was some god, just the number 2 hero. Nothing special. Nope.
Alright, no more.
Hawk shook his head, sliding off his goggles and willing a feather to set them down by the window.
Would you like me to plate your food up, dear Mockingbird?
You faltered, feeling a strange heat rise up to your cheeks. Mockingbird? You had heard him say it before, but you weren't unsure if he had directed it at you. What's with the nickname? And sure.
Well, I don't know your real name. And you seem to have a habit of making teasing comments at random intervals, so Mockingbird seemed to fit.
He turned around, grabbing a plate and beginning to set various breakfast items onto it. It looked like pancakes, bacon, eggs, and hash browns. Your eyes widened a bit at the array, but honestly, you weren't complaining. It was free food, after all. You suddenly blinked, the thoughts of delicious free food dissipating as his words finally registered. It had been about an hour and a half, and you had never given your name. You hit your head with your wrist in annoyance before giving your name.
Listener, eh?
He slid your plate in front of you, and slid a set of utensils next to it. You felt his body press against your back, and the subtle movement of his wings shifting as he checked to make sure he had everything. Mm-hmm. You kept your tone flat, hiding any emotion that could have come through prior. It wasn't out of rudeness or spite, but you had heard how perceptive the hero could be, and you weren't taking any chances. Luckily, he moved away a few moments later. The two of you ate across from each other, occasionally talking about random topics that usually revolved around the line of various villain attacks that were occurring around the city. You were aware of them, of course, often hiding in various alleyways or by paramedics to heal both heroes and villains. Plus, Tomura loved to talk about how amazing his plans were, often forgetting how you worked for both sides. Oh yeah, Hawks. You took a bite of your last pancake, peering up at him. He had already finished ages ago, but had insisted on staying until you finished.
Yeah?
His golden eyes met yours, his usual nonchalant smirk adorning his lips. Can I have your number? You kept your face blank, though felt your lips slowly tugging into a smile as he choked on air.
Whoa there, Mockingbird. Isn't that a bit too forward?
His eyes were wider once he looked at you again. I gotta shoot my shot, you know? You shrugged, smiling fully now. The hero tilted his head, amusement glittering in his eyes.
Respectable.
He smirked, a feather shooting out of his wings and into one of the rooms. He got up, going to rinse your plate as you wondered what he could be doing. Searching your apartment for drugs, perhaps? He wouldn't find anything, as you were an actually good criminal, and had a different workplace than home. You felt Hawks' gaze follow you as you moved, looking up and down as if you were some type of prey. If you were being honest, you didn't mind. It made you feel a bit flustered, even if you had only met him a few weeks ago. You began cleaning the other various pots and pans he had left around, only to be hit in the head with a feather. What the fuck? You stumbled, catching the red floof before it hit the floor. Attached was a small note.
Try not to fall for me too hard, alright, baby bird? Oh, and it looked like you saved me this time, huh? Hawks.
You blinked slowly, turning around to say something to him, only to find his seat empty and the window open again. Plus, bloody bandaging on the floor. Bye? It had been about 2 months since the window incident, and you and the pro hero had become rather close. You texted almost every day, usually checking in on each other and talking about your days, or just rambled about various topics. The newest favorite was this new cafe near your apartment. According to Hawks, it was insanely good. So naturally, you asked him out. Why not? There was no harm to it. Yo, Big Bird, what if we went out to that new cafe you literally will never stop screeching about? Oh, what? You giggled at your new nickname for him, sending it off and closing the messaging app. He was probably out on a mission, as he usually didn't text you until the very early hours in the morning, which naturally prompted you to call him Early Bird. You jumped at the sudden ding of your phone, picking it up and looking at the message.
Hey, Mockingbird. Anything to please you?
You blinked, processing this newfound information. He could actually respond within the minute. Surprising. Bet. Meet up at 2? Ooh, oh what? RAR X3?
I sometimes forget how weird you talk. Yeah, see you then.
Damn. You read the text over and over again, feeling heat rise up your cheeks. He rarely accepted your invitations to go out, so you had a right to be a bit flustered. Sighing and putting your phone down again, you walked to your wardrobe, picking out a semi-comfortable outfit that looked just spiffy enough to be acceptable on whatever this was. You contemplated grabbing a mask to hide your identity, but Hawks would probably get suspicious, as he didn't know either. You ran a hand through your hair, slightly disheveling it. You decided on a thin mask that covered your mouth and nose. He would have to tolerate it for the time being, and if he asked, you would just blame it on being a semi-germaphobe. After collecting your outfit, you slid into the bathroom, folding the clothes and taking a shower. It had been around 2 hours of showering, getting dressed, and waiting, but the time finally arrived, and you were walking down the sidewalk. You kept your eyes trained on your phone, not risking any glances of other civilians in case they had a reading quirk.
Hey, Mockingbird.
Hawks called, causing you to look up. His hair was styled differently, slicked down. He wore a white t-shirt and jeans, plus a beige coat and glasses. The small triangles under his eyes were covered by what you assumed foundation. But where are your wings, Birdie? You peered behind him, not seeing the bright vermilion wings that earned him his bird-themed nicknames. He laughed sheepishly, rubbing his neck.
Fire?
Sorry for ruining your wings, Birdie. It's fine, just... the shot won't combine with the bird's head a little. Let me wrap you up. Fine. Only this time, though. The hero needs help from a crispy villain, eh? How times have changed.
You blinked, eyes narrowing. Fire? Had he gotten in a fight? Who? Where? Was he injured anywhere else? Or is he trying to get you off his back? Too many questions ran through your mind. Suddenly, you remembered this morning. There had been an article released on a hero and a villain fighting downtown. However, neither were named. It had been taken down a few minutes after you read it. But now that you think about it... Did you fight? You yelped, the undercover hero having grabbed your wrist and pulled you inside the establishment. The rush of cold air caused you to falter from your thoughts, the atmosphere completely changing. Inside, it was almost pristine. Dark wood flooring, white walls decorated with oil paintings, and golden lights hanging from the ceiling. The tables and chairs were smooth, with some type of sheen adorning them. Beautiful yellow flowers could be found on top of some tables and glass vases, while on others there was... Was that a small pink salt lamp? The whole place was shiny, to say the least. You looked to the hero in disguise, who was still holding onto your wrist. You gonna let me go, Birdie? You smirked, tapping his hand gently with your free fingers. He looked back at you, smiling.
Nah.
His hand dropped, enveloping your own. You felt warmth envelop your face once more, and felt thankful that the mask obscured your features. Alright then, you mumbled, him leading you to the counter and flashing his award-winning smile. Welcome! What would you like? The barista stared at Hawks, eyes sparkling with... something. Admiration? Or... never mind.
I'll have a macchiato with cinnamon sugar and a breakfast bagel.
The hero in question hummed, looking to you. You blinked, glancing at the menu. S'mores frappuccino and 2 crownies, please. You mumbled, gaze on the counter instead of the girl. Name?
Keigo Takumi.
The hero smiled still, though when you looked at him, you saw a glint of sadness dance in his gaze. Keigo? It wasn't an unusual name, but how was he able to come up with that on the spot? Oh. Oh. That was his real name, wasn't it? He really just ordered a drink with his real name, and no one noticed, 'cause no one knows his real name. That sly bastard. Hawks, now known as Keigo, led you away from the barista, sitting you at a table as you had your little internal crisis. Keigo? Takami? That's your... His hand covered your mouth, eyes sharp and alert as he looked around.
No need to yell it for the whole world to hear, kid.
The bird mumbled. You were still in shock, knowing that he kept his real name a secret due to the commission. Dobby talked about it sometimes, but never told anyone anything besides how he knew, and how Keigo worked for the commission. It was almost like he was protecting him? Keigo Takami? Your order is ready. The voice of the barista from prior snaps you out of your thoughts, Keigo getting up and grabbing your drinks and pastries.
Here you go, Mockingbird.
He hummed, his alert demeanor seeming to have dissipated. Thank you, Bakami. He took your drink and bag, taking a long sip as you stared at him directly. He stared back, only smiling.
So, what do you do for a living, Mockingbird?
His golden eyes glimmered in the sunlight. A living? You were caught off by a loud scream, the door flying open by a frantic woman, her face one of absolute fear. There's a villain attack! Fuck.